Why don't hunters today eat the meat of wild animals? What truth do hunters in the United States, Europe, Russia, and Australia know? If you were to go out early in the morning in a dense forest in the United States, you would probably see a few hunters wearing orange jackets. They would have a modern rifle in their hands, a trained hunting dog, and their eyes would be looking for a deer, elk, or wild turkey. But think for a moment, if a wolf, coyote, or mountain lion suddenly appeared in front of these same hunters and they killed it, would they take its meat home and eat it? Surprisingly, in most cases the answer is no. This is not just an American issue. Professional hunters in Russia, Canada, Europe, and Australia also generally do not eat wild animals. But why? Is the meat of these animals poisonous? Does it taste bad? Or is there a scientific fact behind it that the general public is not aware of? Let's uncover this secret. Modern-day hunters are not what they used to be. Today, they have experience, science, and extensive knowledge about wildlife. They know that not every animal becomes edible just because it has been hunted. Millions of people in the United States hunt deer, elk, and wild turkey every year. Their goal is not just sport, but many hunters also use the meat of these animals for their families. But when it comes to coyotes or wolves, the situation changes. Many hunters hunt these animals only under wildlife management, livestock protection, or local laws, and not for eating their meat. What is the reason? The first reason is the food these animals provide. Predators eat other animals their entire lives. They are more likely to harbor various types of germs, parasites, and sometimes harmful substances. Although not every predator gets sick, the risk may be higher than for herbivores. That is why modern hunters prefer to be careful. A similar picture can be seen in the forests of Russia. Russia is one of the countries in the world where vast forests and large predators are found. Bear hunting is legal in some areas, but not every hunter eats its meat. Some people use it after proper testing and thorough cooking, while many hunters avoid it because they know that caution is necessary with wild meat. This caution is not due to any fear, but rather to experience. Now let's turn to Australia. The dingo is a famous predator in Australia. Although it is hunted in some places, it is not considered a common food. Australian hunters mostly prefer kangaroos, wild boars, or other suitable prey as they are considered more suitable in terms of food. The situation is almost the same in Europe. Many hunters there hunt wild boars, deer, and other herbivores, but foxes, wolves, or other predators are not usually hunted for food. Here a question arises. If science has developed so much today, there are freezers, laboratories, and meat can be cooked well, why do modern hunters still not like the meat of predatory animals? Is it just tradition? Or is there some scientific secret behind it that every experienced hunter knows? When hunters return from the forest with deer, wild turkey, or other prey, one thing is common almost everywhere. They eat the meat of their prey themselves and also share it with their family or friends. But if they encounter a predator such as a wolf, fox, bear, lion, leopard, or crocodile, most hunters do not even think about eating its meat. Another reason is taste. According to experienced hunters, the meat of many prey animals is tough, smelly, or has a very strong taste. That is also why people do not like it. Many hunters in the United States, Canada, Europe, Russia, and Australia hunt deer, elk, moose, wild boar, or rabbits for food. But if wolves or other predators are ever killed, it is usually not for food, but for some other reason, such as population management, livestock protection, or special circumstances under the law. In addition, many countries have strict laws on hunting wild animals, and some species are completely protected. Even today, many experienced hunters in the United States, Europe, Russia, and Australia advise that even if a wild animal is legally hunted, extreme caution should be exercised before eating its meat, because some animals may contain germs or parasites that can make humans sick. This is why hunters living in different parts of the world, despite being thousands of kilometers apart, exhibit similar behavior. They prefer mostly grazing animals for food rather than prey animals. But the question still remains. If ancient humans were also hunters, did they also follow this principle? Surprisingly, the evidence of ancient human life shows that this was not often the case. Ancient humans could kill predators, but they often avoided eating their meat. Why? Was it just a matter of taste, or is there a secret behind it that few people know even today? This is the question we will try to answer. For ancient humans, food was not just a means of filling the stomach, but a survival strategy. One wrong decision could endanger the life of the entire tribe. Therefore, he did not look at every animal with the same eyes. He learned one thing very quickly. The meat of animals that eat grass, leaves, fruits, and seeds is usually safer and better. But animals that hunt other animals accumulate many things in their bodies that can be harmful to humans. If someone ate some meat and then became seriously ill or died, the whole tribe remembered the incident. These experiences were passed down from generation to generation, and gradually it became a rule that not every prey was suitable for eating. Another interesting fact is also interesting. Predatory animals have relatively little body fat, while their muscles are hard and strong because they run, fight, and hunt every day. Therefore, their meat is often tough, smelly, and difficult to chew. In contrast, the meat of animals such as deer, goats, or wild cows was more tender and full of energy. When primitive man had many food choices, why would he eat meat that was not tasty or safe? Interestingly, in many ancient civilizations of the world, predators were considered symbols of strength, bravery, and fear. Some tribes considered lions or wolves sacred. They even avoided killing them, and if they ever had to kill them in defense, they would use their skin, teeth, or claws as souvenirs or symbols instead of eating their meat. Today, scientists understand this process well, but ancient man learned it from the results of his own eyes. If the meat of predatory animals has not been the favorite food of most humans for centuries, why do people in some parts of the world still eat the meat of lions, bears, crocodiles, snakes, or other predatory animals? The answer is that it is not like this everywhere in the world. In some areas, the weather is so harsh that neither farming is possible nor ordinary hunting is easily found for several months of the year. In such conditions, whatever food is available to a person becomes his life support. That is why some tribes also used the meat of hunted animals from time to time. But this was not their daily diet, but a compulsion of circumstances. Many times it happened that a tribe was forced to eat the meat of a hunted animal, and after a few days, the people fell ill. Some had a high fever, some had stomach aches, and sometimes the entire group was affected. At that time, there was no medicine, so even a small mistake could prove fatal. These experiences were passed down from generation to generation in the form of stories. Elders used to explain to their children that not every animal in the forest is for food. Some animals are just a threat, not food. Another important reason was, hunters often hunt sick, injured, or old animals. If the prey is suffering from a disease, its germs can reach the hunter. This is why the meat of such animals was not always considered a safe choice. Many archaeological finds have also shown that ancient people used the skins of hunted animals as clothing in winter. Necklaces were made from their teeth, jewelry from their claws, and tools from their bones. That is, every part of the animal was useful in some way or another, but meat was often not preferred. That is, the basic principle was that when safe and better food was available, there was no need to eat the meat of a predatory animal. Now consider another surprising fact. The meat of predatory animals can also have a special smell because their diet consists entirely of meat. That is why many people in different periods have described its taste as tough, sharp, and different from ordinary meat. For ancient man, food was not only a means of survival, but also an important source of energy. He wanted food that was available in large quantities, easily digestible, and beneficial for the entire tribe. But here is a question that arises. What is going to be the most interesting twist in this entire video? On the other hand, most societies in the world gradually took a different path. They started domesticating animals that ate grass, fodder, or grains. Cows, goats, sheep, chickens, and later other livestock proved to be safer, more beneficial, and more convenient food for humans. It was not just a matter of taste, but the result of intelligence and experience. Here is another interesting fact. When humans started farming and raising livestock, they no longer had to risk their lives in the forest every day to hunt. Now they had their own animals, which provided milk, meat, and sometimes helped with farming. Thus, predatory animals gradually became creatures of the forest instead of food for humans. Ancient man also learned another important lesson. He knew that if all predators disappeared from the forest, the balance of nature would be disturbed. Predators hunt weak and sick animals, which keeps the population of other animals in balance. If this cycle is disrupted, some animals can grow excessively, and the entire ecosystem can be affected. Even today, when experts study ancient caves, bones, and archaeological finds, they mostly find bones of herbivorous animals. This shows that these animals were the main food of humans for thousands of years. There have certainly been cases in history at different times and in different regions where people ate the meat of predatory animals. But this did not become a common tradition, because in most situations it was not even necessary, and there were safer alternatives. Eventually, man took the path that could provide more food, less risk, and a better life. And this was perhaps man's greatest strength. He did not live only by strength, but also by his intellect, observation, and experience. He observed nature, learned from it, learned from his mistakes, and gradually chose a diet that was better for his survival. So whenever the question comes to mind, why don't we ever eat predator meat? The answer is not just a sentence, but a long story of thousands of years of human experience, caution, environment, survival, and evolution. There may still be someone in some remote part of the world who eats predator meat, but the entire history of humanity shows that man has mostly chosen the food that has kept him safe and led him on the path of progress. Now tell me, if you were a hunter 10,000 years ago and there was a deer and a wolf standing in front of you, which one would you hunt and why? This question probably faced man thousands of years ago, and the answer to it changed the history of our food.